Hey guys, got a quick video here today on a new rifle coming to the channel, and in this one we're going to be taking a quick look at the Air Arms XTi 50 Benchrest rifle. Now before we get started, this rifle here was purchased using my own money from the brilliant Crawley surplus store. Now, the Crawley surplus store is easily one of the best RFDs in the country, and the service that they provide is second to none. If you are looking for a new rifle or new scope, I will leave a link to the store in the description below, along with a discount code which will get you 7% off anything in store or online. The very last thing to mention is that they should be getting a couple more of these rifles in stock very shortly, so if you're looking for one, keep that in mind. Right then, with that all out the way, we can get into it, and the first thing I want to mention is that this is the XTi 50 Benchrest version. So the main difference between this one and the HFT or FT rifles is that this particular version is a fair amount cheaper, and you also don't get a few of the parts. So instead of the adjustable hamster in the stock, that has been replaced by the Benchrest plate at the front here. So the plate at the front is 75mm wide, and it fits nicely in a Benchrest style front rest. At the back of the stock we also have the rear bag skid, so you can put the rifle on a bag and slide it backwards and forwards nice and freely. Along with that, the butt pad has been replaced by a simplified version, so you can still shoot the rifle out of the shoulder if you want to. However, the Benchrest rifle doesn't come with this sort of fully adjustable buttstock that the HFT and FT rifles come with. Now, I will say, if you already have the HFT or FT rifles, you can retrofit these parts onto your rifle. AirArms are selling the conversion kit online, but apart from that, the actions and the stock is the same between rifles. The only differences are the bolt-on parts, so you can mix and match to get the rifle exactly as you want it. Right then, the next thing we'll do is run through the weight of the rifle depending on how you configure it. That is quite important depending on which competition you're entering the rifle into, and I will say I am going to be entering this rifle here in the Benchrest GB Postal competition. Now I'm going to be competing in the heavy rifle category, and with that said, the rifle as you see it now, so with all of the accessories on and with the buttstock installed, weighs in at 4,472 grams. Removing the cheek piece, buttstock and then locking knobs here reduces the total weight of the rifle down to 3,800 grams. And then if you needed the rifle to be as light as it possibly can be, what I've gone ahead and done here is remove the end cap for the fella, and I've also gone ahead and removed the adjustment points, so the cheek piece, the butt pad, and then the rear bag skid on the bottom there, and that brings the total weight of the rifle, as you see it here, down to 3,530 grams. Right then, next thing I've done is just taken the action out of the stock so we can take a good look over it. For the most part, the action itself is lovely and clean, exactly what you would expect from a high-end target rifle. But if we take a look at the muzzle end first, at the front here we have our adjustable stripper with the micro adjustment feature in the bottom there, so you can see exactly where you have the stripper set to, and if you want to move it depending on your pellet, you can always repeat the adjustment. I haven't had a chance to play with this fully yet, but apparently you can tune the stripper for your chosen pellets. How much difference it actually makes I don't know, but it is an interesting or nice feature to have. Moving on from that, the stripper is attached to a match-grade Lothar-Walther barrel. The barrel is 15mm in diameter and fully free-floating. It does have a little rubber stop on the brake here, so just on the bottom there, but I've just moved that round so that there's no contact between the stripper and the front of the cylinder. Speaking of the cylinder, on the front here we have an end cap which, when removed, exposes our T-bar fitting, so that's the standard T-bar fitting that most of the modern AirArms rifles have. Moving on from that, you have the titanium cylinder. So the titanium cylinder is used to save a little bit of weight over a steel one. So a steel one's fitted on rifles like the HFT 500 and most of the Ultimate Sporters. It still is only a 200 bar fill. So if you look on the side there, max fill 200 bar, which is a little disappointing. Having said that, I am getting around 90 shots from a full fill, so it's not a terrible shot count on the rifle. Moving over to the action, we have a couple features that I wanted to point out. So on the other side, we have a side mounting gauge. Very nice, as there's not a gauge mounted into the end of the cylinder, so you don't have to look down the muzzle of the rifle when you're trying to fill it. On the other side, we have an adjustable power setting. So this is the adjustable Venturi. So you take this blanking screw out. Then beneath that, there is a small grub screw, which you can use to fine tune the power. From the factory, this rifle here was set up shooting about 780 feet per second using JSB 8.44 grain pellets. So pretty much right on the mark. Moving on from that, we have the side lever, so the side lever cocking on the side of the rifle, really nice and smooth. You do feel a little resistance as you cock the rifle, but that's only because of the stabilizer mechanism. So that's reset when the rifle is cocked, and speaking of the stabilizer, it is now fully functional. Long-time viewers of the channel will know I had a look over an early XTi 50 when it first came out, and the stabilizer reset pin wasn't functional on that early rifle, but it now seems to be working as it should. The stabilizer itself does remove a tiny bit of after-shot recoil from the rifle. I have shot it back to back with the stabilizer fitted and a blanking plate fitted in its place. There wasn't a ton of difference, but with the stabilizer installed, there was a little bit less recoil. I will say it's certainly not as dead as something like an Benchrest 9015, but it is really quite pleasant to shoot. Right then, so next up we'll just take a quick look at the trigger. So I've gone ahead and removed the side cover plate just so we can take a quick look at the mechanism. I will say it is a very nice trigger, but the factory setup did leave a little bit to be desired. This one was set up with a lot of second stage creep. However, that was really easily adjusted, and now it's absolutely fantastic to use. I've got this trigger here set up at around 2 ounces, so 2 ounces on the trigger weight gauge there. Although I could make it a little lighter if I wanted to, I still have a fair amount of adjustment on the trigger weight setting at the front here. So I will say the trigger weight adjustment can only be adjusted when the action is outside of the stock, but it's just that screw in the middle there. Right then, with that all out the way, how does the rifle actually shoot? Well, here is a Benchrest card I did at the weekend, and initial impressions are quite good. I still am getting used to the rifle and trying a few different pellets, but this card here was a 249 with 11 X's. I will say that this was done with the rifle in its factory settings, so the only thing I did was adjust the trigger, but it's not a bad start. Every now and again I do get a flyer, so this one here unfortunately was the last target in the card, and it did hover over to the 9 marking. But with that said, I'm not using weighed or salted pellets, and I still have to play around with a few settings on the rifle, so with a little tweaking or tuning, I'm sure I can get a 250. But for now, I'm quite happy. I did do a few other cards. They all were hovering around the 249 mark and between 10 and 14 X's. Apart from that, the chronograph readings were really quite good. Over a full fill, so a full shot cycle, I'm getting a spread of around 15, and that's over around 90 or so shots. I will say that I have been told by a few other XTi owners that fitting the stabilizer blanking plate in the front of the pellet probe does improve the shot-to-shot consistency a fair amount, so I may have an experiment around with that and swap the stabilizer out for a blank one. But for now the results are pretty good. So this is another card I did at the weekend, a 248 and I think 13X is that one. And then just another couple of cards. So these are just practice ones that I get off of one of my friends. Again, these two here look to be 249s. This one is 11Xs, and I think this one is 12. But for an initial shakedown, I think the rifle's doing quite nicely. With that all said and done, I really do like the rifle. I think it looks absolutely amazing and it shoots well enough. If I can remove the flyers, I will be over the moon with it. But for its first couple of shoots, I am really quite happy. Now, one thing I am really not happy about though is the box. Right then, so here's the box. Now the box itself I don't have a problem with. It's quite a nice Negrini hard case. This one is the long one, so you can fit the long rifles in it. But as soon as I open it up, you should be able to tell what I don't like. So it should be obvious, but where on earth am I going to put my scope? The answer is you can't get the rifle in the box with the scope fitted, so you have to take that off in order to fit it in the nice hard case. I have absolutely no idea why they've done it like that. The rifle could have been very easily moved down. Then you would have plenty of room at the top to put whatever scope you want on there. The box in the bottom here and the empty, that is an empty tin of pellets, could have been moved just in the corner there or in the corner up here. There's plenty of space for it. But I'll be quite honest with you, if they were going to do this, I would have much rather them not bother with the foam cutout and just have them put eggshell in the bottom. It is a real pain to have to remove your scope to get the rifle in the box, and then you have to find a nice safe place to put your scope as well. So what I'm probably going to do is either replace the box, or I might see if I can get some of the eggshell to cut out in the box. Or the other way to do it is just go over to a Null Pro box and get the shadow foam cutout. I did that on the Theoben Rapid, and that was quite a nice little box when it all was said and done. But with that said, that's my only main complaint with the rifle. The box is just very poorly laid out. Right then, with that all said and done, that's pretty much going to do it for this particular video. You will be seeing more of the XTi-50 in the upcoming Benchrest GB Postal Competition videos. So we'll be doing a monthly video on that. And what I'm going to be doing is shooting the XTi-50 in the heavy rifle category, and then the S200. So this is another new rifle, and this one is going to be my light rifle. What I'm going to be doing is just shooting them back to back, modifying them each month, and we're going to be seeing what we can do with them. For now though, that's pretty much going to do it for this particular video. Thank you very much for watching. I hope it's been interesting or useful, and I'll see you in the next one.